I'm PUMA with BloodFeatherBushcraft. Today I'm going to make a snow cave shelter. Now with anything there's methodology that goes with this, and if you find yourself in a situation you want to prioritize, and the rule of threes is going to set you straight. You can go 3 minutes without oxygen. You can go 3 hours exposed to extreme heat or cold. You can go 3 days without water. You can go 3 weeks without food. And you could probably go 3 months without human contact before getting a little loopy. Now, in this condition right here, I'm breathing, so there's the 3 minutes it's taken care of. But I am definitely exposed to some cold here. So a shelter is my first priority. For this challenge, I'm going to use one cutting tool. And believe it or not, this is it. This is a snow saw. And the tribes in the polar regions, Inuit and Eskimos, they consider this to be more important than even a gun. In those wide open barren wastelands of snow, without this, you don't stand much of a chance. Now in this region here, I'd probably hunker down underneath a tree well like this and use some other pine boughs and such and just make this cozy for myself, and this would do. Now, this is going to be a lot of work, so my biggest concern is going to be perspiration right off the bat. It's going to be wet and sweaty work. So I'm layered up. This is your first layer of shelter, is your clothing. And I try and layer like a bird. When I used to work with the wild raptors, they have a thin layer of fat and skin, which is my first layer, thin layer of merino wool. They have down, which I've got a couple layers of silk and wool, sweaters. And then they have a hard, waterproof sheen of feathers on the outside, and that's my Gore-Tex here. And so I try and emulate the birds whenever I get a chance, and that includes building shelters. You want to try and make those same layers inside your shelter. So right off the bat, I'm going to go ahead and take some clothes off so I don't get them soaking wet, so when I go to bed tonight, I don't freeze. So perspiration is my #1 concern right now. Well, your first consideration is going to be site selection. I've got myself out of any avalanche zone. I'm on the lee side of a little ridge right here, so this is all drifted snow. It's going to give me a nice solid snowpack to work with here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start by making an L, an upside down L shape. If I'm doing it for 2 people, I'd make a T. The idea here is to make a bed, a raised bed, and an entrance right here. So here's my upside down L I'm making. Now you can just start chopping blocks out of this. Looks like that. Now some of these you want to save. We're going to use some of these blocks later. If you're in a position where the wind's really bad, you can use those blocks to kind of build up a windbreak, a wall around you. This is my raised platform bed here. This is my entrance. And this is also called a cold sink or cold well. Cold air falls, so I want it to sink down into here, while the warm air that rises is going to hang out up here with me. Now that right there was a no-no. Try and get the habit of not putting your tools down in the snow. You won't find them again, and that's the end of you. The arch is the strongest structure on the planet. It's going to keep this 2 feet of snow from collapsing in on me. And with any shelter, you want about 18 inches to 2 feet of insulation, whatever material you're using. Now if I make this arch too steep, the hot air will get trapped up on top and it'll start to melt it out and it'll cause it to collapse and sag. If it's too flat, it won't hold its integrity and that can cause it to collapse. So I got to get it right in the right zone so it'll hold it. The other thing you want to make sure is to smooth out the ceiling. If you get any little points sticking down, those will drip on you. If you get wet, you're done. Now the biggest danger in these winter shelters, igloos and things like this is CO2 poisoning. You gotta vent these things. Now they will breathe. The snow is porous and it's gonna breathe. It's never gonna get warmer than maybe 32 degrees in here. And if it does, you actually are gonna mess with the integrity of your snow shelter. You should always be able to see your breath. Now again, it's not gonna get above 32 degrees, but it'll keep you from being out there in the -5 below. But anyway, like I said, your biggest concern is CO2 poisoning. Now that's accumulative. It can happen over the course of a few days, and there's really no warning signs. When it hits you, you just feel faint, nauseous, you can get frontal headaches. Sometimes you'll get cherry red lips and around your eyes will get red. Now in order to keep the air flowing in here, you gotta make a vent. 2 vents. One at the door, down low, and one at the back here, up high, at a 45-degree angle. Try and get the airflow to be coming in through like this. Now you wanna be sure not to put the vent over your bed, because that'll create an edge that's gonna drip on you. So you wanna come out here over the cold well, pop your vent out over here. Now, you wanna check this vent as often as possible, especially when it's snowing. Just pop it. You want to make sure that this thing stays clear so you don't asphyxiate. Beautiful. This is a lot of work. Even though I'm surrounded by snow in a temperate forest, this is actually an arid region, a high mountain desert. And this dry, cold air is just dehydrating me, pulling the moisture right out of me. Things you don't want to do is eat the snow. It takes your body more energy to melt the snow than you get out of it, and it can drop your core temperature, push you into hypothermia. So yeah, drink a lot of water. Contrary to what the coolest guy on the planet may have told you, don't stay thirsty, my friends. I want to make the entrance small, almost non-existent, with these blocks, because that way I can cut it to size later. If it doesn't fit, that's all right. Just spackle it with snow and it'll all freeze together. See where I've stacked these like bricks? The next stage is to just spackle all these seams up. Cut this door open a little bit and make me a door. Get some pine boughs for the bed. A pine resin candle. I'll carve myself a little bench seat. Got pine needles on the bed from head to toe, about 4 inches thick. Lighting a candle in here gives you amazing light. It reflects around in here. And it also lets you know, a flickering candle lets you know that you're low on oxygen in here. And you want to leave this thing going all night in case it does burn up the oxygen. When you go to bed, put that out. I've got that little alcove actually vented all the way up outside, so it's like a little chimney, a fireplace. This is cozy, man. I think I'm gonna do all right. Nighty night, sleep tight, don't let the frost bugs bite. Wah-ah-ah.